I know everyone has leftover mincemeat. And we're not talking about mincemeat, we're talking about the Christmas mincemeat pie. Now I know that everyone must have leftover, though, especially those who are making it fresh from home, or they bought the jars over Christmas period. So these are great ways to essentially use up and not waste mincemeat. And it especially doesn't have to be for Christmas, because these are amazing. You can have them anytime. We're currently in January right now, so I'm wishing you guys a very happy new year. But these are just amazing to use up your leftover mincemeats, your leftover fruit, candied fruits, oranges, walnuts, anything you have, even if it's in the end of January, because I know there's always leftover. So enjoy.
Okay, so for the recipe, using any leftover ingredients that you have over the Christmas and actually over January, we have mixed fruit, walnuts, and of course the mincemeat. Now this jar is massive, so I'm probably going to do a couple of batches of the biscotti to actually use this all up. Okay, I've listed all the ingredients and the measurements down below, so please do check that out. The only ingredient that I skipped over today was the sherry. I replaced it with the orange juice to use the whole of the orange, but please, that's optional. You don't have to do either if you don't like it. Add a little bit of milk to loosen up the dough if it's too dry. Now, this recipe is so easy, it's so lazy. You're just making sure that all the ingredients are mixed well. You're forming a dough-like consistency, but it doesn't have to be anything specific. Now, adjust the flour just in case your mixture is a little bit too wet. For mine, it was a little bit too dry, and therefore I added orange juice. This recipe, you can add anything in, there's no rule. And I know there are traditional types of biscotti, but for this one, it's really to help you clear out your pantry from the leftovers that you've got from December and January. It's such a straightforward recipe. Now the mincemeat holds well, it will last a long time in your fridge, but I hate to think I'm leaving it to go to waste, because it's such a rich ingredient that you can like put into anything. Now January is such a weird month for me because everyone's on a health kick, they're starting their resolution, and so they don't want anything heavy. Now this recipe is perfect for that, because biscotti is known to be crispy, crunchy, but a light biscuit, and it's great with your coffee, so it's not going to be too much of a burden on your tummy, but hopefully not. Anyway, so when you are making the dough, you don't have to have any specific rules to shaping it. Traditionally, I put into 2 logs so that it has that biscotti look, but you can make it into small balls, anything you like. Now be mindful, with the raisins, it's a tad sweet, so it will slightly burn, but I'm pretty okay with it because everything else was so golden brown. Be careful, it can be very hot. Now when I sliced these up, I had noticed that they're perfectly crumbly biscuit, and if you prefer it like that, then stick with it. Do not go for the double bake. I went through with it because I love that texture of the biscotti. It's perfect to soak up the coffee, but this will work if you prefer a much crumblier and softer biscuit. And this will still keep for a very long time. Okay, these are what they looked like after the first bake and slice. I baked them for 20 minutes at 180 degrees, and you should flip them over a little bit just to get the perfect browning. For the second bake, I went for a much lower temperature, around about 150 degrees, and these baked a little bit longer just to get that perfect golden ratio, around about 20 to 25 minutes. You can of course go less if you don't want to brown too quickly.
Finally finish with the biscotti. So there you are. It's just come out of its second bake. It takes a little bit longer just in general to bake these because obviously the double bake, but also you kind of need to let them wait. They need to be a little bit like, to some extent they have to be rock hard. But these are done, and I wanted to show you how hard they are. They're not that hard. And they're crispy, but they're not that hard, and they're perfectly enjoyed with a lovely cup of coffee, regardless of how you have it, whether it's cappuccino, latte, whatever. But they're just great as an overall way of just using out your mincemeat. Now, I have had a nightmare of a time finding recipes for mincemeat because it's so specific to mince pies. Of course, you can do it in pastries, so you can like wrap it in like puff pastries or short crust pastries to make like parcels and things like that. But I feel like those are sort of heavily Christmas based, where this is all year round. This is not something like you specifically associate to Christmas. And of course, biscottis is such a clever way of like, you know, making it last longer, because obviously you kind of dry them all out, so there's no way of it going off that quickly. Now, reportedly, these kind of last anything up to 1 or 2 months. Obviously, once they've been like opened up and like some people are touching them, blah blah, obviously eat it very quickly. But in general, it should last up to 1 to 3 months. I don't think in my household it's gonna last up to 1 to 3 months, maybe a week or 2. But that might be a good thing because I've got a whole jar left to make them, and I think they're really good fun to make. The one thing I want to highlight is the dough that I made is slightly wetter. It can be a little bit more dough consistently. Mine was a little bit wet on the wetter side. So if you come to the point where like you're a little bit like trepidation or you're worried that you've done something wrong, it will dry out in the oven. That's all I'm gonna say. It will dry out. Sprinkle a little bit of flour just to help you mold it and shape it into a log and things like that. You can do any size you like. I've done 2 logs. Some people do it in like more smaller batches, especially if they're kind of like gifting them as gifts. Don't worry about how it should look, because the traditional way of looking at it, you'll need to basically slice it up, you need to turn it on its side, and you'll need to flip it over in the oven whilst it's drying out. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this recipe. It's been amazing fun. These are amazing, they look amazing, and I just want to do one thing, just finally try it out in front of you guys. Oh, that perfect crisp snap is what you want. Still tastes like Christmas, but it's just a great way of using up ingredients. The orange zest comes through, walnuts come through, slightly better because of the raisins. Because there's lard in the mincemeat, it helps with the crisping. Don't know why, it just does. I hope you guys love the recipe. I wish you a very happy new year again, and I hope you guys have an amazing start to your year. I'm gonna love you and leave you. Enjoy.